You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Full recap from this one, plus a trip to the locker room and my post-game comments. But first, from the Bob Kurtz Radio Center, here's Kevin Fallness.
It's sprung ahead by Colorado. No icing. Natchez to it around the net. 14 Natchez shakes free, found a man, and they score. Brett Kulak wins it. Series over, and season over for Minnesota. As the Avs storm back in Game 5 and get the final 4 goals. Kulak, a one-time blast, and Colorado wins 4-3, 3:52 into the extra set.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to sit on all summer long. Wild lose in overtime in a hockey game. They led 3-0 after one period of play. The next 4 go to the Avalanche, including the OT G-dub. The season is over for your Minnesota Wild. Welcome to the postgame show. Kevin Fallness in St. Paul from the Bob Kurtz Radio Center out there at Ball Arena. Tom Reed joins me for the autopsy. Not only the playoffs, but the season as a whole. This one's going to be a tough one to swallow, Thomas.
We're going to do it in the morning.
I think he bounced, and that's fine. They did a long wrap up there with Joe O'Donnell, but it's a wrap. That's Game 5. Wild drop the series, and they're done for this postseason. Coming up, we've got some post-game reaction. We'll get you John Hines at the podium. He's probably going here any minute, and this will be the only place you can hear it live, so we'll get to that here shortly. We'll try to get you anything else coming out of that Wild locker room, and we've got Wild Fan Line. Thought that was going to be a whole lot more fun about an hour ago, but 4 consecutive Avalanche goals, including the overtime winner, puts a pall on that whole thing, and we'll try to get things wrapped up here in St. Paul. We'll break, and then we'll have more after this. You're listening to Wild Hockey, presented by Grand Casino.
5 seconds ago. Empty net for the Avs. Wild leading Game 5, 3-2. Landeskog to Kadri. Crowd rising as Kadri finds Burns. Over to Natchez outside the left circle. Handed it off McKinnon. McKinnon shoots one. He scores. With 83 seconds left, the game's tied. Short side high, Nathan McKinnon.
Wild were that close to getting out of game number 5 with a victory. Yes, they're hanging on for dear life, especially in that second period, and then it all goes away. That 3-0 lead evaporates over time, including a pair of goals in the final, would have been 3.5 minutes. Drury pulls them within 1, then Nathan McKinnon at the 18:37 mark. Even Steven, we break for overtime, and the Grand Casino play of the game goes to the wrong team.
Now it's Parker Kelly, has a late help coming. Manson to the left side, a shot shouldered away by Volstead. Big save there. Kaprizov to the rebound, chips it along. A 2-on-1 maybe with Boldy. Kaprizov in left circle, has a lane, cross ice, and Boldy couldn't connect. It's sprung ahead by Colorado. No icing. Natchez to it around the net. 14 Natchez shakes free, found a man, and they score. Brett Kulak wins it. Series over, and season over for Minnesota. As the Avs storm back in Game 5 and get the final 4 goals. Kulak, a one-time blast, and Colorado wins 4-3, 3:52 into the extra.
Storm back indeed. That clip there is going to be the frustrating part. A 2-on-1 on one end of the ice, and Kaprizov, rather than shoot it down the left wing, sends it across the ice. 2-on-1 to Boldy. He fans on the shot, and moments later, that puck goes all the way down. Natchez circles around the end boards and around the net, around Volstead, sends it into the other dot. Kulak's there waiting. It's an open net for him, and it's the overtime game winner. 3:52 of overtime. Kulak ends the Wild season. Kulak gets the Grand Casino play of the game, presented by Grand Casino, where Minnesota comes to play. Visit GrandCasino.com to plan your next visit. John Hines, when we continue, this is Wild Hockey, presented by Grand Casino.
Off to Hughes for a shot, saved by Blackwood. Boldy to the rebound, shifting away from Nelson. Center, Johansson scores! Marcus Johansson, 34 seconds in, blistered at glove side, and the Wild are off and running in Game 5.
What a great great way to start Game 5, right? Season on the line, a must-win situation. Win or you go home. And not only do they get the goal by Marcus Johansson, who, by the way, scored 3 times in this series, gets the Wild off and running, like Joe said, and then they add 2 more by Foligno. Not Marcus. Big brother Nick scores not once but twice, and the Wild are up 3-0, just 15:56 into the contest in a period where they put 13 shots on Mackenzie Blackwood. That sends him from the contest. In comes Scott Wedgwood, and he's perfect the rest of the way, only had to make 7 saves. The Wild certainly had their chances. This is going to be a series and a game of what-ifs. I mean, there's so many what-ifs. What if they could have figured out a way to get Game 1? It was right there for the taking. Game 2, also right there for the taking. And what if they built upon Game 4 after a wonderful Game 3? They didn't. In fact, they did the absolute opposite and played maybe their worst game of the playoffs. And then in this one, they had the opportunity by McCarron. They had the opportunity by Kaprizov, all in overtime in and of itself. Wild squander a 3-0 lead, and they end up losing 4-3 in overtime. The season is done. Wild Fan Line is not. That'll be on in the Twin Cities. And if it's not on your radio dial, you can find it at KFN.com/listen. Myself and Pat Micheletti doing the autopsy on a 5-game loss to the Colorado Avalanche. They're moving on to the Western Conference Finals. The Wild are on their way home. More to follow this break. You're listening to Wild Hockey, presented by Grand Casino.
Burns, a hurried shot blocked out in front. Avalanche get to it. They fire one. That's blocked as well. Grabbing it, McKinnon. McKinnon, a shot. Kick save, Ballstead. And he's got it for a whistle.
Our XL Energy big saves of the game. I know that Jesper Wallstedt suffered the loss, but man, did he have a playoff series for the young rookie. Not only the series, but the playoffs in general. We're going to give Jesper Wallstedt the XL Energy big saves of the game, powered by XL Energy. XL Energy proudly powering the great state of hockey with safe, clean, and reliable energy. Explore how they're making energy work better for you and our communities at xlenergy.com. Colin, we're going to call an audible here. Matt Zuccarello is ready to address the media, so we're going to go to Ball Arena one last time and check in with number 36 following the Game 5 defeat.
Yeah, it's just empty, you know, like we're I think we all battle so hard, you know. Obviously, I think you got to keep going when it's 3-9. We kind of maybe stop playing a little bit, making those plays that we made in the first, and I don't know. It's hard. We're playing a hell of a good team. When they had some surgeries, you know, some momentum, we ride it out, and obviously it stinks. You're up 3-0. You in the playoffs. You feel like you should win that game, and I thought for the most part we kind of defended well. They got some outside shots, and obviously there's some breakdowns, and Wally played a hell of a game. So, but no, that one stings for sure.
Yep. How what happened offensively in the last two periods? I mean, is it?
I think it's a combination of you're thinking too much, don't give them anything, and you start maybe don't make the plays that you need to make against a good team like this, and the human brain works sometimes like that. You're too worried about not letting goals in that you forget about playing the game at times. So I think that at least that's what you feel when you, because I think we came out flying and did a hell of a job and the way we wanted to play, and but at the end of the day, you got to give them credit as well. That's a good team over there with a hell of good players. So, but no, I think it's just that offensive mind. Keep going, get 4-0, get 5-0 if you can, instead of being on the cautious side.
Mm-hmm. Do you, you mentioned this was empty. I mean, what was it like in here after the game? I mean, you guys worked so hard to get to this point. It's one of the best teams in franchise history.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think everyone feels empty right now. It's not the finish that we wanted. We knew it was going to be a tough series. I don't know. It's hard to explain right after a game like that. Where you're an older group. That these chances doesn't come that often, and so I think it's just empty. But you know what? We battle our asses off, all of us. Back checking, hitting, blocking shots. Just lacked a little bit of that offensive minus in the last two periods, and that sucks, but yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
There you go, Matt Zuccarello with the media. That can't be easy to fire off, answer questions after just a bad, tough way to see the season end. You're riding high with a 3-0 advantage after one period of play, 4 consecutive goals, including the overtime game winner. Not only do you lose the game, you lose the series, and the season is done. We'll wrap it up next and get you ready for Wild Fan Line. Get on board. We'd love to have you. If it's not on your radio, you can find it at KFAN.com/listen. Following myself, including myself and Pat Micheletti, will do it after this break. You're listening to Wild Hockey, presented by Grand Casino.
Obviously, you're a little bit more comfortable with a 2-goal lead when the goalie's out, but I mean, you're still up 3-2. I would have taken that, before the game. Ultimately, it could have been, we win a puck battle, we ice it down, and that's the game. It could have went that way too. Not the way it went.
The voice of Quinn Hughes inside that Wild locker room following the 4-3 overtime loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Nico Sturm, first career multi-point game. Marcus Johansson, 4 goals on the playoffs, 3 against the Colorado Avalanche. Tonight adds his 20th of his National Hockey League postseason career. Got the Wild off and running right off the bat, but in the end, it's all for naught. Despite getting a pair of goals from Nick Foligno in that first period, the Avalanche storm back, get 4 in a row, including Natchez setting up Kulak with the overtime game winner. Wild lose tonight and are done for the season. So that's a wrap on another season of Minnesota Wild hockey. Joe gave a ton of thank yous around, so I'll just echo a lot of those, including the best group that you could ask to work with. Not only Colin Landsteiner tonight here, Alexis Huss on most nights as well, and Zach Halverson does a great job for us in so many different ways. It's not fun to compliment him and thank him, but I guess I have to, and this time I actually mean it. Thanks to those guys, best crew you could ask for. Joe and Tom, phenomenal to work with. Aaron Sickman, Jackson Riebel, Dylan Daniel do a great job from a PR standpoint, helping us in so many ways behind the scenes. I can't even begin to elaborate. Chad Abbott, a great job from iHeart, and our entire Minnesota Wild Radio Network group that joins us across the great state of hockey and beyond. 50 stations strong, the largest and best network in the National Hockey League, and dare I say, best network in all of sports. Thanks to all of them for another season of Minnesota Wild hockey, and most importantly, thanks to you for listening to Wild Hockey wherever you are across the great state of hockey. The state of hockey has no borders, but we love our neighbors to the north, east, west, and south, but especially those of you here within the borders of Minnesota. Thank you for listening to us each and every night, wherever you may be, near and far. That'll do it. Up next, we got Wild Fan Line on most of these same stations. If it's not on your radio dial, you can find us at KFAN.com/listen. Myself and Pat Micheletti taking your calls and probably your angst next after a short pause. For the rest of you, we'll talk to you in the fall for another season of Minnesota Wild hockey. Thanks for listening and enjoy your off season.
You've been listening to your exclusive home for Minnesota Wild hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
One more thing! Let's go
Wild hockey hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs is presented exclusively by the Minnesota Wild, the National Hockey League, and the Minnesota Wild Radio Network.
The best place to go for all your Minnesota Wild audio needs is the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. Everything Minnesota Wild related, including highlights, press conferences, players, coaches, general managers, and more. It's available on the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. It's all just a click away at wild.com/podcast.